In this lesson, we're going to take a closer look at a complete game played on OGS, Online Go server, by two strong Q players. We'll see some of their plans and ideas behind their moves, some of the technical complications, and even some of the things that could have been done differently. Let's begin. First, both players occupy the empty corners. But you're used to it by now, aren't you? And next, Black immediately invades the lower side. Black doesn't want to give White this whole area. At this point, White could choose to protect the corner and attack the stone. But White chose to ignore the invasion and attack this corner instead. And it seemed that Black was also happy with the idea of playing an aggressive game, so Black followed suit by playing here, another invasion. Now all of the stones are split apart, black, white, black, white, black. A fight is unavoidable. White jumps out, and now Black needs to choose which stone to save, the one on the right side or the one at the bottom. However, in the game, Black chose a third option and played this aggressive kicking move. By the way, if you're White, how would you respond to this? I said that this move was aggressive because if White doesn't do anything, Black is going to play here next, and this stone is almost captured. So White needs to react. And in the game, White played like this. And this is the most common response to such a kick. Next, Black wants to deal with the stone on the lower side. So Black played here, trying to make a living group here. White pushes, and then presses on top. It would be normal for Black to just keep extending, just to make a small living group here. But in the game, Black ignored this and played like this in the corner. Black chose a very interesting strategy of sacrificing this stone on the right side, and so this move is threatening to save it again. If White, for example, plays this Atari, which would be normal, then Black would connect with this stone, and all of this territory would be gone. Black would take it all back. And even though this seems normal, in the game, White decided to respond to this and keep the stone isolated. And only after this, Black extends. White adds yet another stone to the right side just to make sure that this black stone doesn't escape. And it seems that Black's sacrifice strategy is working. White spent so many stones just to surround and capture one stone of Black. And in exchange, Black is making points here and here. And yet another move from Black, threatening to connect back to the stone, and again, aiming to sell the stone at a higher price. If White doesn't respond to this, Black will play like this, or even like this. And if White tries to cut, there's a connection on the first line. And again, White will lose all of these points. So, White needs to respond to this. Right now it's Black's turn, and Black needs to make a choice where to play next. There are lots of big and interesting moves on the board, so why don't you help Black decide where to play next? Where would you play? Let's see some of the possible options that Black could consider. For example, maybe strengthen this corner like this, or like this. The corner becomes bigger. Or we can enclose the upper left corner. This corner is quite big. Maybe we can approach White's corner like this, trying to get the left side. But in the game, Black felt worried that this group is not quite settled yet. So Black decided to add another move here. This move defends the corner, not so many points, probably smaller than all of those three, but it's very safe. It makes sure that Black is completely alive here. After this, naturally, White takes one of the big points. White plays here to attack the corner. Black responds with a move that we've seen before, the kick, only this time White responds differently. Like this. Atari. Black connects. And now White needs to decide where to connect, at A or at B. And by the way, if the choice was yours, where would you connect? In the game, White played at A, and that was a mistake. This move is trying to save every single stone on the board, but the game of Go is not about this. It's about surrounding more territory. And so it would be better to give up some of the stones, but to keep the stones connected. If we connect like this, all of white's stones are working as one single wall. You see, in the future, white can hope to make some points in the center. And if black chooses to take that stone right now, white is happy to give it up. Just Atari, black takes it, and then white plays something like this. All of white's stones are working together. But instead of this in the game, white connected here, unwilling to sacrifice any stones, but now of course black will Atari, and connect, and white is separated. Now white can hardly hope to make any points in the center because black has access to it. And besides, the 5 white stones at the top now need to live separately. And that's what white does. Another kick. White extends. Black takes some points on the left. An exchange. And now white needs to take the last remaining big point on the board. But where is it? Do you see it? You can see that all of the sides and corners have been taken by now, but white can still enclose this corner, making it bigger and stronger. Black makes another exchange on the right side, and again this is a threat against the right group that cannot be ignored. If white doesn't respond, black will play here next, and the 3 white stones will be captured. So white had to reply, and black switches to the left. If the game of Go was a conversation, then this move would be saying something like, I want to end the war and I want to start peace negotiations. I want to stop this bloodshed. In other words, this move is trying to bring the game closer to the endgame stage. And this is something we see in the endgame very often. When white responds, it seems that black's territory is becoming bigger and white's corner is shrinking in size. If, on the other hand, white managed to play here first, it would be the other way around. Then white plays here, and black responds. Now, white's corner is getting bigger, and black's territory is shrinking. So this is a very valuable move. White responds, and another move threatening the corner. And again, white responds. Now black protects the stone. And before I show you what white played next, I want to ask you this. Who do you think is leading in this game right now? Who's ahead? Just by looking at the overall flow of the game, it seems that white spent too many moves trying to surround this one stone. And also white got separated at the top, remember? And even if we compare the territories visually, we can say that this corner and this corner are about the same size. And as for the rest, white has these 2 groups, and black has these 2. It feels that black has a little bit more, don't you think? And white probably felt the same way in the game. It is possible for white to play this move right now. Black would respond, white connects, and black connects. Black's corner is becoming smaller. White gains some points. But white was afraid that this might not be enough. So white decided to try something a lot more aggressive and played inside black's corner. In the lesson about making 2 eyes, we said that if you have 8 points with your group, you shouldn't worry about it. Remember? Here, black has 12, and yet white plays inside. So what should black do? Black shouldn't get scared, that's for sure. So just cut it off. But white continues. Another attachment here. Maybe white is trying to live in the corner. How would you respond to this move as black? Just like before, you shouldn't get scared. Just cut it off. White is inside, and white can try to make an eye in the corner, but black has a lot of liberties with this group. And besides, black can always escape out of here. So even if white plays like this and makes an eye, well, we can just reduce this group from every direction, maybe like this. And even though white seems to make an eye, but we just keep reducing it. And you see, after this, with the very next move, we can play this Atari and capture all the white stones. White can never make 2 eyes there. However, in the game, black got a little intimidated here. So black played here to give up something, but to make 2 eyes for sure. White connects, but now Atari. Another Atari. And black is 100% alive here. Black has 2 eyes. And besides, now that black has this stone in the first line, white starts to worry about this group again. So another move was added just to be sure. Black played this exchange, white responds, black presses. Now white extends, and black cuts. What is black planning to do here? And how should white respond? Did you see that black is threatening to capture the 4 stones in a snapback? If you did, very good. So white had to defend against this and play it like this. Actually, if we go back a couple of moves, there was a more interesting move here for black. It seems that both players actually missed this in the game. Black could throw in a stone here, just sacrifice it. And if white now captures, now black will Atari. And if white connects, another Atari. And all of white's stones are captured. This could end the game right here. But this is a little too hard for now. We'll talk about such tactical possibilities in some of our future courses. So actually, in response to this forcing move, white couldn't really extend. White had to connect here. However, we got this result. White cuts, white connects. And now we get to the classic endgame sequences that we've seen several times before. Black plays on the first line to close off the border. White responds, Atari. Black connects. And white needs to protect the stone as well. White connects. And the same thing happens here. First line, Atari. Black connects. And this time, instead of connecting, white chooses to play like this, which also defends the cutting point. Next, black plays here to get more points at the top. And then to the first line to get even more points. Uh-oh, that looks dangerous. How should white respond? This move is a classic beginner mistake, trying to get more on the first line before protecting your stone on the second line here. So of course, white should Atari. And you remember that when we Atari toward the first line, this stone is going to get captured. If black now connects, Atari, and black's 3 stones will be captured. No worries, I was just testing you. This didn't happen in the game. In the actual game, black saves the stone first, which is correct, and white attaches here, desperately trying to get more points, as white still feels behind in the game. This move feels like a bluff. Black can actually respond from the top and could just capture this white stone. White can't escape. But in the game, the bluff worked, and white safely responded from the second line, this way having agreed to lose a few points here. White continues to press, and black connects. White covers black, but black doesn't want to get enclosed here, so black sacrifices a stone, Atari, just to split white here. The game is still very close, and after a few more exchanges, white tries to get the center, and black reduces it. Black connects, white pushes, black connects, and we get to the late endgame. Again, we have to find all the points that are left unplayed in the game and choose the best one. So let's use the labyrinth principle. Let's walk around the territories and see where the gaps are. First, this territory. Going around, solid walls, there's a gap right here. Now this territory. There's a gap here. This is all solid. This territory. There's a gap right here. These stones are captured. Another gap here. And another gap here. However, white remembers that after this move, white will keep the initiative. Because after white plays here, black responds, white connects, and black needs to respond, otherwise white will capture the stone. So white chose to close this gap, simply because after this, white can jump to the next one. And white chose to close this gap next. By the way, it was definitely possible for white to get 1 point more by playing here. See? White gets this point now. But I guess that in the game, white felt that there could be some problems with these two captured black stones. So white chose a safer option. Now we have 3 gaps left, remember? And it's black's turn, so black played here first. White responded. But before playing in any of the 2 remaining places, black took this forcing move. Do you see what the threat is? And if you do, how should white respond? Do you still remember the double Atari? This move threatens just that. If white is not careful, black is going to play here, putting the 4 stones and the 1 stone in danger at the same time. White wouldn't be able to save everything, and white will lose a lot of points here. So of course in the game, white connected here to avoid that. And now only a few final moves are left to be played here. White defends, black connects the stones, Atari. Black doesn't want to play this ko, so black connects. And the last remaining gap on the first line is here. Black responds, and white connects. The game is over. Black passes, white passes, and we can count the score. First, we need to fill the neutral points and remove all the dead stones. So, why don't you try and find all of them? In this game, there's only 1 neutral point right here. So black can fill it, for example. And it's quite interesting that during the entire game, no stones were captured. But there are some prisoners on the board, so let's remove them. White captured 2 stones here. Another stone here. And black has 1 prisoner here. Now let's put the captured stones back on the board. This one goes here. And this white stone goes, for example, here. And now we can rearrange the stones to make the territories more rectangular and easier to count. For example, we can move these 2 stones here. Again, it doesn't matter that there are some white stones here. We remember that this whole territory belongs to black. Black has this small territory in the corner, so we can make it disappear by taking some stones from this one and just fill it up like this. Now we can leave 10 here for white, like this, and move them over here. This might look a little confusing here, but remember that in the actual game, you only count 1 color, while your opponent is counting the other one. So black has this territory. This is 7 times 2, 14, and this one, 8 times 2, 16, plus 1, 17. 14 and 17, black has 31 points. And white has 10 in the corner, 10 at the top, and 7 on the right. That's 27. But remember that white also has 6.5 points of compensation, Komi. So if we add that to 27, we get 33.5 points. Black has 31, so white wins by... Wait, white wins the game? Really? But remember that white has 6.5 points of compensation, Komi. If we add that to 27, white has 33.5 points. Black has 31, so white wins by 2.5 points. So you see, even though black was ahead for most of the game, white fought tooth and nail, trying to get back, trying to find a chance, and white ended up winning the game. Alright, we've learned many things, and now all you need is a little more practice. No, I don't mean solving more problems, I mean playing more games to become more confident on this board, because this is quite a big step from the mini games on 9x9. And in general, there were a lot of things packed into this course, so don't feel ashamed at all to come back to some of those lessons to maybe make sure you understand everything. Some of those things that we talked about were quite tricky. And then, once you've had enough practice, you'll be ready for a smooth transition to the bigger board of 19x19. And I'll see you right there. This is Go Magic. By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.